Welcome legends and heli-heads and lovers of all things rotors to this three-part video series where we take a look at the different anti-aliasing settings that are now available to you in DCS World version 2.9. Big congratulations to Eagle Dynamics, to their developers and testers for ensuring that in this version and undoubtedly versions going forward that you have such a wide variation of choice to choose for your anti-aliasing settings that ultimately every single one of us should be able to get the very best experience we possibly can, whether you've got a monstrous system or whether you've got a potato. It matters not. There's a solution for everybody. You just got to know which one is the right one for you, and only you can do that. Quick look at the options screen. Now, you'll be pleased to know perhaps that I'm not going to go line by line and validate and ratify why I've chosen what I've chosen. Everyone's mileage will vary. There's no right and wrong settings out there. These are mine. By all means, press pause and take a deeper dive. All I wanted to talk to you about was the resolution that I'm running at, which is 5120 by 1440, a big 49-inch ultra-wide screen. What you're seeing in this video is only 2560 by 1440, the center part that is cropped of the video. So when we're looking at the frames per second, please bear in mind that the machine is pushing 5120 by 1440. Right, let's dive in. In part 3, we've taken a center splice of the full resolution of each one of these 4 videos that were used in part 2. So the full resolution, which was 2560 by 1440, which was a center cut of a 5120 by 1440 playing area, and you can see more about that in part 2 in the top right hand corner now. Go watch that before coming back here. The reason why I've put this video in is because you can only really see the artifacts of anti-aliasing with DLSS when you're in full screen resolution. And as I said at the very beginning, you know, everyone has got to find out what is their preferred method if they want to use DLSS. Because we're rendering at the full resolution on the y-axis, 1440, you should be able to see the anti-aliasing differences between ultra performance and quality as this video plays out. As I said at the very end of part 2, DLSS is a fantastic technology and brilliant, just brilliant that ED have put this in. But it's not for everyone, and it shouldn't be for everyone. If you are able to, you know, render at 2K, 4K or 32:9 or some other higher resolution, then the requirement for anti-aliasing is reduced. You probably don't need MSAA ×4, ×2 will be more than good enough. And you know, on a 4K monitor, depending on the size of that monitor, you may not even have to have anti-aliasing on at all. So play around with the anti-aliasing settings to find out what it is that you need and what's best for your system. FSR2 is another option, and some NVIDIA owners out there have reported significantly better results with FSR2, but likewise some people have said, well, no, not for me. Everybody's different, everyone's system is different. You've got to find out what's right for you. Now, if you're on a 16 series card, if I remember right, 1630, 50, 60 or 1660 Ti, then this means that you should be able to use FSR2. NVIDIA DLAA and DLSS really is for 2030 and 40 series cards. We're on DLSS 3.5 in DCS World version 2.9. And if you're on a 10 series card, there are many people out there still flying on a 10 series card, particularly the 1080 Ti, the simple behemoth of NVIDIA's card lineups in my view, far outpowered of its time, and you know, pound for pound, buck for buck, performance for performance, I don't think there's any better card out there than the 1080 Ti. Clearly there is, but I'm talking about buck for buck, pound for pound, age for age. 1080 Ti, brilliant. Far in advance of its time when it was released. If you're on a 1080 Ti, you unfortunately can't use DLSS, and I'm not sure if you can use FSR2. You may know better than I, but I don't think you can use FSR2 either. But what you can do, if you need to upscale, is you can use NVIDIA image sharpening in the NVIDIA control panel. Gives you the options for smoothness and sharpness, and you know, you can then use the sort of, let's call it DLSS 0.5. It was the version of DLSS that NVIDIA were playing with before they released it as DLSS. So, you know, everybody now, as a result of ED's fantastic work by their developers and testers, can now use some form of upscaling. But as I said in part 2, you know, not everyone is going to need to use it. It's not for everyone. And if you're able to render at 4K or 2K or whatever, then why on earth would you want to use DLSS? The higher the resolution you're using, the smaller the monitor, the less anti-aliasing is required. It's as simple as that. If you're rendering 4K on a whacking great big 75-inch monitor, stroke TV, you probably will want to use some anti-aliasing. But if it's a proper monitor, you know, 34 inches wide, for example, at 4K, I'm willing to bet you could probably use DCS World without any anti-aliasing whatsoever, and it will still be crystal sharp. In the video that we're watching now, these 4 specific splices, you'll note that actually the anti-aliasing is really apparent at distance, essentially. I mean, look at Ultra Performance Box 4 now as the helicopter goes away compared to Box 1, and you'll see there is a difference there. It starts to get blurred and so on. The clouds, as we can see, are shimmering in Ultra Performance, whereas in quality and certainly balance they're not. And, you know, as I said, as part of the conclusion for DLSS and the options available to you in part 2, which you can see in the top right hand corner now, if I haven't linked that already, you know, balance is a good setting. Most people are advising that balance should be more than good enough, and I concur with that, absolutely. There is very, very little difference, if anything at all, certainly nothing that's going to, you know, upset you today between balanced and quality, except balance is going to give you far more frames per second. So I hope those 3 videos have been useful, and now you should have a good understanding of the importance of quality versus speed and speed versus quality. And actually, you know, if you cap your frames by using VSync and have a regular frame time which equals a fantastically smooth flight, you should be able to, even with a 1080 Ti, not using any form of NVIDIA image sharpening and just ensuring that you balance out your quality settings and your options, you should be able to get a really, really good experience in DCS World and fully immersive. That is the most important thing for me when I'm flying DCS World, is that it's smooth and that it's immersive. When you're flying a helicopter, you're not at 35,000 feet. You're down low and you want to be able to see the detail, and you want to be able to experience the reliability and smoothness that comes with the sim. I hope these 3 parts have been useful for you. Until the next video, take care. Bye bye.